This is our third video in our series devoted to Improv Card Magic. Now today we will be looking at 8 card packets. Now I've already shuffled the deck quite a bit, but we can go ahead and give it a couple of riffle shuffles together. Now we're going to need 3 piles of 8 random cards. So we'll take cards from different parts of the deck. Why don't we give it just one more shuffle for good measure. Okay, so why don't we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we have 8 random cards in each of these 3 piles. Okay, and we'll be taking a look at those in just a moment. Okay, here we go. So if you've watched any of the other videos in this series, especially the previous video, part 2, you'll kind of know the format for what we'll be doing. So what we will do first is we're going to be looking for interesting structures that we can preserve, convert to other structures, which we then preserve, and then eventually convert it back to a packet whose pairs we've made note of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up our simplified hidden structures diagram. This has just the 3 primary structure types. Now later today we'll be showing you some additional ones on the larger hidden structures diagram. Okay, so that'll be something different for today. So let's go ahead and we'll pick up the first pile. Now as you may recall, we're free to choose any of these structure types for any packet, but we'll begin to kind of narrow ourselves because I would like to have a packet for each of these 3. So the first one, it really can be viewed as an AMP or mirrored or 2-cycle. It really is our choice. Okay, so what do you see right off relative to an AMP? That might be interesting to reveal. Well, I see right here we have a non-matching pair in color, non-matching pair, and then we have one matching pair in color. It happens to be black, and they're both spades. That's quite nice. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we could go with a mixing of the cards where at the end we divine that all of the pairs are of different colors except for a 7 and a jack, which I think they're black, and I believe they're both spades even. Let's check. Okay, so that's a AMP. Okay, what about mirrored? What do you see here that might be of interest? Well, mirrored is where you look at the outer ends, right? You remember that? The outer ends, oh, these happen to be the same color, of course, and suit. Opposite color, oh, same color and suit. Oh boy, same color and suit. Wow, I think in the end we're probably going to go with the mirrored structure because we can finish with 3 out of the 4 pairs matching in color and suit. How amazing is that? Okay, but just for practice, let's see what the 2-cycle structure would give us. Sometimes it'll even give you something better than what you thought was great. Okay, I'm not sure if it'll be the case here, but okay, so 2-cycle structure, remember, it's like having 1, 2, we'll look at the diagram on the left side of the screen. It's like having 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a repeating 1, 2, 3, 4. So in particular, the 8 here and the 3 there are related by position because they both are in the first position of their respective cycles. Okay, so viewed as a 2-cycle, the 8 is related to 3 in position, so those are of opposite color. The 9 of hearts, 5 of spades, opposite color. This is kind of nice. We get a 6 of spades and a 7 of spades. Pretty good. And then over here, we get something that's not too bad. We get 2 jacks. Now, they're not of the same color, but, you know, that's something worth considering, really. So we can match up 6 and 7 of spades or a couple of jacks of opposite color. Well, I think we'll go with the mirrored structure, if you remember. I think that may be the strongest one and perhaps the most surprising one. So recall, this is where you look at the ends and go in one, right? You remember mirrored structures? Okay, just as shown on the left at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so what can we say here? So these are just notes to ourselves, because we're going to be doing 3 routines, okay? Even though ordinarily you would just do 1 routine, and relative to that 1 routine, you would need to remember a little bit of information. Well, we have 3 different ones here, and that would just be pretty overwhelming to keep all of that straight. We're going to make a couple of notes here. So what we found was we can have 3 pairs of cards where they have the same suit. So that's pretty nice. And by the way, none of them have the same value, of course. Okay, but that's okay. And then plus, and then we'll have a single pair right here that will be of opposite color. Okay, plus 1 pair, and these will be of opposite color. Now, if you want to remember that it's a 7 and a 9, you know, as far as giving that information at the end, you can pretend that you can see that in your mind's eye, that this non-matching suit pair, I think it's a 7 and a 9. And then if you can even remember that it's hearts and spades, wow, kudos to you. But you do, I do want to point out something regarding some intellectual modesty here, because if you declare too much that is incredibly specific, what it's going to do is it's going to push the bounds of believability to the point where you force the spectator to only conclude that this is a trick. There's no way that anyone could know all of that. Okay, so that's why you have to sometimes hold back your enthusiasm for what you could actually state, and, you know, at times leave it a little foggy, like, well, the non-matching pair in color, I can't really see their values, but I think they're like both the same parity. Either they're both even or both odd. Isn't that weird that I would get that impression, you know? And so you could state that at the end without being overly specific, saying it's a 7 of spades and a 9 of hearts. Okay, so those are sufficient notes for us. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead, since this is in the middle pile, we'll put it right there, right, for the mirrored. So let's look at the mirrored. Okay. Okay, so this one is mirrored relative to the features that we made note of, namely, oh yeah, this one's nice. This one would have been like this one if we viewed it as a 2-cycle, like I pointed out. But anyway, so 3 pairs of the same suit, and then the remaining pair is of opposite color. Okay, so it's not bad. Okay, so if it's mirrored already, you can use the stay stack principle. You can deal into 2 piles, 4 piles. You can up jog, Pharaoh, any of those shuffles that, quote, preserve a mirrored structure. Now, we're not going to do all of those, but those can all be done. We demonstrated that kind of thing last time, and we'll do some probably in a minute anyway. But what I recommend that we do here that we haven't done yet is a Charlier 1. Okay, so what is a Charlier 1? Well, it's number 3. So a Charlier 1 is where it's, quote, a Charlier shuffle, but you only move 1 card at a time. Okay, so what does that mean? So this Charlier shuffle is top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, bottom to top. Okay, so you move this one over. So top, so the top card now goes to the bottom, the new bottom. Bottom card, just 1, goes on top. Top card here goes on the bottom. Bottom card here goes on top, top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, bottom to top. And really under my breath, I don't say it out loud. In my mind, I actually repeat that because it keeps me on track. You know, top to bottom, bottom to top, you know, that way you don't get muddled up. Well, a Charlier 1, unbelievably actually, is identical to a 50% cutting of the cards. Well, think about a mirrored structure. If you perform a 50% cutting, will it not preserve a mirrored structure? So mirrored structure is down here, M, see M. So look at, if you were to take the top 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, and move that block to the bottom, it's still mirrored. It would be mirrored now as 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But it's still mirrored. So what's nice about the Charlier 1 is it preserves each and every one of our 3 structure types. Okay, now I guess I do have to be careful there because with an AMP there is a small restriction there. You do need a multiple of 4 cards, otherwise it won't work, and maybe try that out. Perform a Charlier 1 on a packet of 6 cards that we did last time, and it won't work. It won't preserve the AMP structure. But it works perfectly for 2 cycles, of course, and then for mirrored structures, okay? But it's a very messy looking shuffle, and really you would have to already know what that shuffle does to have any sense as to like where the cards are now and have any sense that that really is the same as just taking the top 4, putting them on the bottom, and then rearranging the halves, okay? And that's all it is. It's equivalent to that. Okay, now we have seen previously that the up jog, either the even or the odd up jog, preserves mirrored structures. So let's go ahead and quickly do an even up jog. This is where you jog forward the even position cards, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then you strip those out and then random stack those. It's still mirrored, okay? Now we're going to go from a mirror to an AMP by way of a Klondike shuffle. So take a look at the Klondike shuffle down here, line 14, and it will convert a mirrored structure to an AMP. Okay? In fact, if you think about it, what is it actually doing? So if you have let me just show you this, because this one you can very much see it in your mind's eye because of the structure here. So think about a mirrored structure, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you're going to Klondike shuffle that, what that does is it takes the top card, which is a 1, and pairs it with the bottom card, which is also a 1. And you set those on the table. So it's like you have a 1, 1 on the table. Now, when you grab the new top card, well, it's a 2. It's a 2 right here, and it gets paired with the bottom 2. And you set those on the table. So you'll end up building up this packet where at the bottom is 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and the very top will be 4, 4. Well, that's an AMP, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And like I said, that's one that you can almost just kind of see in your mind's eye that it's doing what it's doing. Something like the Klondike taking a 2 cycle to a mirrored structure, that one is difficult to see in your mind's eye. You really do have to check out the mathematics for that. I don't know anyone who could just like in their mind's eye, 24 cards, 26 cards, and it's a 2 cycle and you do a Klondike. How in the world would you know that it's mirrored after that? But it is. Okay, so if we do a Klondike now, it will be an AMP relative to those pairings, okay? And then from here, we can do another one of these RLR. And remember, RLR, the R, the first R, represents the word random. It's kind of random up to a point. So what we're saying here is it's an LR shuffle, like left, right, if you like. And now for the next level, you're free to put this on either pile. So maybe we'll go like that. But you do build up one pile at a time as you go. Now this one could go there and there, and the spectator can tell you, where would you like this one? Over here? Okay, we'll put that one there. Well, that will actually convert an AMP to a 2-cycle. Isn't that nice? Okay, and now as the diagram shows over here, if you go down to line 21, an alternate Klondike is going to convert a 2-cycle structure to a mirrored structure in the case of 4n cards. So you have a multiple of 4 cards, which we do. We have 8 cards. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, but here I'm suggesting that you do it into not just left, right. You could left, right, left, right, left, right. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 with our kind of dealing out using the Klondike. Okay, so we're going to go like left. We're going to do 4 piles. 2, 3, 4. You are free to stack from left to right, right to left, leapfrog from left to right, or leapfrog from right to left. So why don't we just stack left to right? Maybe the spectator asked for that. But think about it. You can give them 4 very different choices that lead to very different orderings of the cards, period. They do, okay? But they can choose any of those 4, and guess what? It's mirrored now. It's guaranteed to be mirrored. Okay, and now we're getting kind of close here. We're going to do a, quote, LR deal, but we won't stack them. Okay, so we know that LR shuffles preserve mirrored structures. That's the stay stack principle. But what we're going to do is we're not going to stack them. Okay, and I want to point out that we're now just showing you for the first time another portion of our hidden structures diagram. Okay, so we were right here. We had a mirrored construction, and then we went way down here. We did an alternate deal, left, right, without stacking. What does it lead to? It leads to 2 piles of cards that are, quote, mirrored piles. Well, what it means is, unlike coupled piles, think back to the one that we did here for coupled piles, at each level as you go down, those pairs are related, and we set those off. Well, what happens with mirrored piles is the top card here is related to the bottom card here. Okay, so that's how mirrored piles work. The second one down is related to the second one from the bottom. Okay, so those are mirrored piles. Now, once you have mirrored piles, you can do something really fun. You can do, and very surprising, you can do something called a swapping. A swapping procedure, and this is well known. This is not original to me by any stretch. Most of this is here, but not this particular ending. Okay, so how does this swapping procedure work? Well, the idea is for whatever number of cards you have in each pile, you're allowed that many swaps minus 1. So for example, we have 4 cards here. So you're allowed 3 swaps. Okay, what is a swap? A swap is where you're allowed to take the top card and move it to the bottom. And so you could do that 3 times on this pile, or you could do it 1 time on this pile and then twice over here, as long as your swaps add up to 3. So you can allocate them however you want. So maybe you want to allocate 2 here. So here's 1 swap. 1, 2. And we have 1 more we can spend. We have 1 more swap left. Allocate it there. And then you set aside the new top cards. Okay. Let's see. How many swaps do we have? We have 2 left. Okay. How would you like to allocate those? 1 and 1. 2 here. 2 here. You want 1 and 1? Okay. That's what most people go with. It doesn't matter. 1 swap there, and we have 1 left. 1 swap there. Set aside the new top cards. Now we have 1 swap left. Do you want me to apply it on the left or right? On the right. Okay, so I'll move that to the bottom, and we'll set aside that pair, and then this gives us a pair as well, right there. Okay, so maybe we'll spread these out so they fit a little bit better. Okay, so we have our 4 pairings now. We have our 4 pairings. Okay, and then if you remember, what do we know is true about these pairings? And if you remember, this one's a very strong ending. Do you remember that 3 of these pairs have the same suit? It's crazy. And the other pair is of opposite color. Okay, so 3 of these, and let me just show you so you can remember, 3 pairs have the same suit, and then 1 pair of opposite color. Okay, so let's just see if we're right. Same suit. Oh, check that out. Oh, isn't that going to be interesting? we found a pair of opposite color. Oh, golly, no pressure. That means the remaining piles all have to be pairs of the same suit. And this is where you're just praying to high heaven that you haven't made a mistake. Okay, so we're going to find out if I did. Okay, we got 1. 1 of the same suit. Which one should I do next? Maybe this one. We'll find out if I messed up. Wait. I think we misinterpreted that. Okay, let's go back. Let's just see what we did here. Okay. This is really funny, actually. Okay, so same suit. This is really weird. I didn't notice this about this particular deck. Okay, so we have done nothing wrong except misinterpret the meaning of the suits at the very beginning because of this wacky deck. Isn't that funny? These are spades. These are spades. And I saw this as red. It's kind of a heart shape if you get rid of that extra little piece. At least I'm assuming that's a spade. Isn't that a spade? I should guess I could check the rest of the cards. But anyway, I counted, that's really funny. I counted that as and maybe you caught it as we were doing the video. You thought, those aren't the same. And I saw them as the same because they're both red. So anyway, if we had not misapprehend the meaning of the symbols at the beginning, and if you rewind the video, you'll see that these are indeed the 4 pairs that we came up with. I just misinterpreted that one as a heart. It has the shape of a spade, but the color of a heart. Okay, that is very funny. Okay, so that is the 3rd one. At least we didn't make any mistakes with all of the structures and the shuffles. I just made a mistake apparently at the very beginning. So there you go.